We'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a Weber County Commission meeting, Tuesday, the 22nd of January at 10 o'clock a.m. It's good to have you all here today. We're going to start this meeting with a invocation by Christopher Crockett, and I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads in gratitude for the many blessings which Thou hast bestowed upon us. We are grateful to be citizens of this country, this state, and this wonderful county. Father, as we reflected and marveled at the accomplishments of Dr. King yesterday, let it be a reminder to us as we go forward in our lives to look for ways to help others, to always be kind. Father, we ask that Thou will please bless us with Thy Spirit, that we may make decisions today to better the lives of the people who live here. And these things we ask for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we typically have a thought of the day. Commissioner Frohr, you got one?
Actually, I have two, Mr. Chair.
Great.
Didn't want to leave anybody short this morning. So, in all seriousness, we celebrated Dr. King's holiday yesterday, a very important holiday, especially for some of those in the room grew up and saw the significance of what Dr. King did and meant for this nation in bringing people together. To me, it was very significant, and at that point in time in our history, took a very special individual to do some difficult things, which he accomplished. So I just have a couple of his favorite quotes. He really has a number of good quotes, but the first one that came to mind is when he said, "The time is always right to do what is right," which I think should sink home with all of us. The other that I think is just as important is life's most persistent and urgent question is this: what are you doing for others? Let's keep both of those thoughts in mind as we go through this next year. Let's do what's right, and if we always do the right thing by doing right for others, then we're doing the best thing for this county and state. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Commissioner. That was wonderful. You know, it was interesting. Friday, I was leaving here, and Shelley says to me, "See ya Tuesday." I thought for a second, and I says, "Well, why not Monday?" She says, "Well, we're off Monday." And I says, "Well, what do you mean we're off? What are we off for?" She says, "Well, Martin Luther King Day." I thought, you know, in all my work life, this is the first time I've been in a position where I could take that day off. So it was a nice day off. Still come in the office.
I was going to say, you didn't, yeah.
I still come in there for a little while.
I came in the afternoon and I'd seen that you'd been in the office.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, well. I should have called our attention to the fact that Gage's wife, Gloria, is here today. And
I'm sure she
we
wants
try to
recognition.
recognize our spouses when they're here, and I didn't do that. So, Gloria, nice to have you here today. All right. Well, as we start this meeting, we try to have a comment period at the front of the meeting. So if people would like to come and comment to the council, we give you time to do it. So right now is the time for that. Is there anybody who'd like to address the commission today? Don't see any hands going up. All right, then we will move the agenda and move on. We have presentations today. Our first presentation is by Steve Bell, and he's talking about Nordic skiing at the Ogden Nordic. So, Steve, why don't you stand up and tell us what's happening? Good having you here today.
Good morning, and thank you for accepting my application to get on the agenda.
You bet.
I have something great to tell you. So, Ogden Nordic is a all-volunteer organization that runs a cross-country ski teaching, and we have some rental equipment up in the Weber County North Fork Park. We start our season pretty much in October with some trail clearing and preparation, and then really get going in November when we organize the YMCA YI ski program. This is
So
our
you
fourth
guys
year.
operate that yurt up there, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And we've had that. I think that the yurt was moved there about 6 years ago. Prior to that, it was working out of the parking lot. But the grooming operation started, I think, around 2003 or 2004, and the nonprofit organization was organized around that time. So it's a nonprofit organization recognized in the state of Utah. And we've grown considerably. I mean, we had, when I first moved here with my job with Procter & Gamble about 10 years ago, we were having trouble raising enough money to pay for fuel for the grooming equipment that we use to prepare the trails. The last 4 years, we've been, even with a bad winter like last winter, we were able to pay all of our bills and to actually put some money away for some future plans. One of the things I'd like to draw your attention to today is we have had a very successful partnership with Amer Sport, the company that handles Solomon and Atomic skis. They've been very generous donor to the park, both in terms of their employees' time as well as some financial help, and that's helped us pay for the scholarships for the YMCA YI ski program. This year we have 14 students that come up for 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon, and that's on top of our juniors program, which we'll be doing this afternoon and every Tuesday afternoon through the winter. And we have 38 students in that this year, which is the biggest. So just if I look at the youth engagement this year, we're at 50 youth, and we've already taught 75 adult lessons on Saturday, usually Saturday mornings, or if their schedule doesn't allow. And I brought with me for each of you
Sir.
Steve.
So what I just gave you, there's three things. One is just a little business card, which just has our our web address on it. There's a little bit bigger card that talks about the ski school, and I'm the ski school director and have been acting in that capacity for 4 years now. We have 11 professional ski instructors, and we just added our 12th on Saturday. We volunteer our time and provide lessons at a very inexpensive rate. On February 9th, that's the biggest sheet, is we're going to have our second Learn to Ski Day, and we'd like to provide a special invitation to you and your families and your grandchildren. We teach all ages. We like to start at age 6. It's a little difficult below that, but 6 and above, we are very skilled at teaching that. And we have free food on that day. So that's part of the financial support we're getting from Amer Sport, is we have Thai Curry Kitchen from like a block and a half that way. They bring their curry cart up, and we serve free food for the first 200 people that we serve. And we did just about sell out on our first Learn to Ski Day back in January, and this year we're doing 2 of them. So this next one is on Saturday, February 9th. Maybe I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
No. Well, I'd like to tell you, Mr. Bell, I think a lot of the things foundational with this country start because people care about others, and they express that in different forms. And I really like what you're doing up there. You've been doing that for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of a lot of things for a lot of people. A lot of times it goes unsaid, but it doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you.
It is a world-class place to go.
It's the best in Utah, and I can assure you of that.
Well, I can just tell you because of my age, I remember, and the two of you may remember this, but when, back in about 1995, 96, when they were discussing different Olympic venues, because we had our ice sheet, which would do the curling, and because we had the third greatest hill in the world with the downhill and the Super G at Snow Basin, we also had the best cross-country ski area. But we had so many venues that they decided to take it south to Utah County. I remember that specifically. And I knew it as a young boy motorcycling through there. We used to do a lot of that in the 70s and 80s. But it's really a wonderful area, and you guys have now morphed that or transitioned that into a great place with that and the fat bikes. I think that's great. That's not my only point to.
Yeah, that's working very well this year.
So fat bikes, are we seeing that fad take off?
Yeah, I would say at least a quarter of the visitation this winter has been fat bikes. And we have and that's for people who sell that equipment. Those are expensive bicycles. I mean, they're $5,000 to $6,000 for the most of the ones I see. And so people have got a fairly significant personal investment in that. I'm an active cyclist most of the year, but in the winter I just love skiing too much and don't have time to devote to that. But it's really another way people get out to enjoy. And I just taught a private ski lesson this past weekend to a woman who's got entry into North Fork Park by exposure to it through fat biking, but saw people enjoying cross-country skiing and said, that looks like it might be easier on my body. And it generally is. So, but I guess I would close with, unless there's other questions, things are really cooking.
Gage has got one there.
Oh,
Gage,
sure. Go ahead, Gage.
Thanks, Steve. Not a question, just really an accolade. Shout out to you and your organization. I've been up there a few times, not as much as I should have, but Gloria and I love to cross-country ski. We've cross-countryed in Jackson Hole Country, Sun Valley, and when we come back to our own backyard and go to your venue and be able to ski there, it compares above anything else that we've skied. Yeah. And the staff that you have there, the equipment, I was amazed at the equipment that you offer, so people can go up without really having the equipment or without having any prior lessons, and can be on their skis and doing that in a short period of time, which is very difficult to do with Alpine. I think you can be on your skis and really having fun within a couple of hours, if not shorter.
Yep. Minutes, actually.
Minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to give a shout out. It's great for Ogden Valley. I think it's great for Weber County. And we'll plan on being there on the 9th to see how you do.
Awesome, yeah. And if I can reserve, we already have 9 people signed up online. So the sign up is online. It's on the poster here. But I can work with your staff and make sure that I know who's coming and how many lessons to set aside for you guys and your families. But I guess I'd like to just close by with one little comment. My wife and I met on the high school ski team in Vermont like 40 years ago. We've been married for 36 years. And she runs the juniors program. So she'll be up there all afternoon this afternoon preparing for the 38 students that come up this afternoon. And she's got a great plan for that. But it's a great lifelong sport. It really is. And it's something you can do. We've been inspired by some skiers in their 70s and 80s in some of the international marathons we've skied over in Europe. It's amazing that you see people skiing 40, 50, even 60 kilometers in their early 80s. So I have a lot to look forward to. And it's great to have a venue here in our county to provide this opportunity for others. So thank you for your time today, and hope to see you on the 9th.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming and inviting us. I hope everything's going good in Box Elder County out there at your employer.
Yeah, I work for Procter & Gamble, and we're doing well. Yeah, we're growing. So we have about a third of our employees live here in Weber County, so we're helping with the taxes. I live in Weber County, so.
Thank you.
So.
Aren't you getting ready to do another edition?
It's really part of, we added on a large building, and we're basically fitting out the inside of it. So we have 2 more building projects planned in the next 2 years, but they're more or less warehousing and won't affect enrollment too much. But the the building we built about a year ago, that's where most of the increased enrollment's coming from. So.
In your original construction, I was involved with it with my employee, my company I own. And,
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I moved
well-
here to lead the construction and startup, so I work on a bunch of projects for planning for future expansion now.
I own a company called Great Western Supply.
Great, yeah.
And it's you guys use a lot of specialty pipe valves and fittings out there. It's a lot of fun being involved with projects like that.
Yeah. A little known fact, our company is 181 years old.
Really?
Started in 1837, so it's unique to be part of a company that's, I would say, it's like we started our company 10 years before Brigham Young came here, so it was 1837, yeah. October.
That's great. Thanks,
Well,
sir.
thank you for your time today.
Appreciate it. All right, Sheriff Arbon, we want to welcome you here today. There was an article in the paper the other day about the evidence room and what had happened there, and it had been cleaned up and all that. And so I asked him to come and give us a little bit of a report on what they've done out there. And anyway, so we'll turn time over to you. Thanks, Sheriff. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you, and thank you to the public and everyone else that's given me this opportunity to share some of the things that we have learned from the evidence room incident and the progress that we've made thus far. So without getting into the details, from the beginning and what started this, that we knew that this incident was discovered with the evidence room about a year ago. And so this was a report that was prepared for me because I wasn't here during that year. So I'm going to read some of the excerpts from it. And I'm just going to move to the latter part of this incident that occurred. After this was all discovered, that a strict process was implemented to audit all evidence that was under the control of the evidence custodian. An audit team was formed. The team consisted of senior investigators, a crime scene analysis supervisor, outside criminal investigators, a records manager, and the new evidence custodian, with a combined 7 years of investigation experience. The audit protocols were developed using examples from other audits that occurred around the country and were approved by the Weber County Attorney's Office. Over 9,402 pieces of evidence were inspected, with about 115 being flagged as potentially having an issue. With this exhaustive endeavor, on December 20th, 2018, the Chief Deputy of Weber County Attorney's Office personally inspected the evidence room and declared it was again secure and can be used to store evidence.
What day was that?
December 20th. This was just recently, last month. As the result of this incident, several safeguards have been implemented. Security cameras were installed in the evidence room. New evidence custodian attended a nationally recognized evidence training and certification course. A barcode system is currently being implemented to help track this evidence. Locked cages is used to secure narcotic evidence that is waiting to be processed. And through all that, so having said that, we've got basically a clear bill of health to go forward with nothing else on that particular evidence room. So that's the report I can give you.
Questions, Commissioners, either of you?
Good,
We
thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So it's recognized that I'm clearly from the outside here, but I can tell you this, that the individuals that I've been working for thus far have demonstrated an excellent example of professionalism. There's a fantastic group of officers down there they're being great examples, great public servants, showing accountability and putting the sheriff's office in a great direction. So I'm appreciative of them.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you one more question
Sure.
here. Put you under the spotlight just a little bit. You had a recent death out there,
We did.
and I understand that was a suicide.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what you do to prevent somebody from committing suicide. I mean, if they want to do it bad enough, they can kind of figure a way other than to physically restrain them all the time. And I read a little bit, the articles were published about this, and when they were talking about you don't even know for sure when it's in somebody's frame of mind to do that. And it's pretty tough, Sheriff. How do you handle that?
So one of the things that I asked when I was after the primary election was some things that we could put in place to identify problems. And one of them was that we have a team that will travel to other facilities that are in the United States and see what makes them specifically successful on certain topics. And so this is something that's going to happen here in the future. And we're going to take those things and see how we can adapt them to improve our responsibility and safety for the public and also those that are in our jail. So that's one thing that we're doing. Also, we're doing a review of all the incidents that have occurred in the past years and see what the common factors are and see what creates these incidents or what causes or what items they're using in these situations and see how we can prevent or try other methods to prevent these things from happening in the future.
Very good. So you still having trouble finding nurses? Are you up to?
We're struggling with, I think we've hired, we're about ready to make an offer on a couple right now, but we're still struggling in corrections as a whole and
Yeah.
also in enforcement.
All right, any other questions, Commissioners?
Appreciate the update.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
I do want to add one thing that the report is not complete, but the preliminaries show that the medical staff and the corrections acted very diligently and swift to try and save this person's life, and they deserve some accommodation for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
You know, people don't realize that over half your budget goes to that place out there. And we spend a lot of money in corrections. That's a big part. All right, next items up are our consent items. You know, I don't know if you two commissioners know it, but I have Ricky and Jason come to my office prior to this commission meeting every week to go over these in detail. And if you are certainly welcome to come into that, it only takes just a few minutes, but it gives you a chance to review the
Expenditures.
big ones, the big expenditures. You know, those are the ones that I kind of highlight, and it gives me a chance to go over them in detail and ask why they did it and to call. And I just really like doing that. And you're welcome to come in if you'd like to
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
sit down. It only takes a few minutes. Generally, they come prepared. Well, most of the time, but even today we had a little question and the guy out right on the phone answered it just like that. So works out really good. So anyway, if you'd like, you're certainly welcome to it. All right, on the consent items today, we have a request for approval of warrants. 1668 through 1671 and 435759 through 435935 in the amount of $1,222,199. We also have a request for purchase orders in the amount of $1,178,778. Approval of the minutes, a request for new business licenses, request for the Weber County Sheriff's Office to approve surplus of gym equipment. Sheriff's gone. I sat down and went through that, and I didn't see any reason why not to surplus that if they're not using it. Request for Weber County Commission offices for approval to surplus an iPad. Request for approval to sell surplus real property to Ogden City. A request for approval, well, before we get off that real property at Ogden City was a very small, we've been through it all, I hope you have. It's a very small little sliver of property on the back that's adjacent to Ogden's property. Okay. Once in a while they get off on these little requests for approval of an ESCO agreement between Suncrest Meadow Subdivision, Phase 1 and 2. A request for Weber County Tax Review Committee to approve a recommendation for refunds of taxes on the following parcels due to discrepancies in basement finishes and square footages. And the parcels are listed. It's 02, 026, 0014, 09, 296, 0014, and 18, 075, 0003. And these are small amounts of money, but it happens occasionally. You get people that they don't agree with our appraisals, and so they appeal them. Every once in a while, we're proven wrong. Not often, but it happens. So, consent items. With that, I'm looking for a motion or some kind of comment.
Mr. Chair, I'd like Ricky to maybe just go over the major
Oh, yes.
purchase order, since I wasn't involved with that.
I'm sorry, I forgot to go to him. Ricky, go ahead.
Bet. This is about the first time I've ever seen in 8 years where the purchase order amount and the warrant register amount are almost identical, $1.2 million.
Yeah, big one.
For purchase orders, we issued 41 purchase orders for $1.2 million. 63% of that amount, or $743,000, is for the sheriff's office for the radios. 12%, or $146,000, is for our fleet department, really for roads. This is to buy a transport truck. And another 12%, or $136,000, is for our conference center, and that's for elevator repair. And 6%, or $73,000, is for the roads, and that's primarily roads, supplies, and an equipment lease that item that they have. As far as checks this week, we wrote 181 checks for $1.2 million. 35% of that, or $427,000, is for the transfer station, and that's the monthly disposal costs. 18%, or $219,000, is transportation tax reimbursement to Huntsville City. This is for Highway 166, road improvements there. 7%, or $87,000, is for the jail, and that is an adjustment made to the military retirement contribution portion with URS. And then we had two items at 6%, or about $75,000. One is annual dues for UAC and ICANN, and then $71,000 for a ramp award to Weber State for the strings project that they applied for. That's it.
All right, so the radios, the biggest portion of that, years ago, several years ago, we knew this was coming, and it was about a $2 million buy then. And they've been chunking away this a little bit at a time, and the prices have come down. And as I understand it, and I can be corrected, I do believe this is the last purchase, and they're outfitted right now.
I believe so. I know also they did an analysis of the need for radios and were able to reduce the actual number of radios that they needed to purchase.
May I, Commissioner?
Yes,
The part of that, and so yes, it is the last purchase. Number two, they did the analysis and they were able to cut some based on what their current needs were. But why do we need new radios? And the reason is because with the UFC, they've changed band and frequency, and so with being able to communicate through public safety, they needed radios that would do this. It was a requirement through both the state and federal, and this was the last year we could make that change. Not having the extra fat or the extra money in the Weber County budget before now, we started putting money away so that we would be able to do that purchasing, and this money now is less than what it would be because of they were fiscally responsible with taxpayer funds getting ready for it. Another thing that was really great about this is that most people will know this, but even when you go to your phone, the radios that we had were analog. And now we go to a digital platform or a digital base. And so that's really a huge thing that most people realize. That's the reason we needed them, is we go to a digital base. And so that's the main reason why we did that.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was a great report. The other thing on there was the transport. That was a tractor, so they can haul this large equipment around on roads. And it was budgeted, so it was in the budget. So,
Having us lead out with safer equipment or safe equipment, especially not just for guys in there, but for instance, when you have an avalanche, how do you get a snow auger off the top of one mountain to an avalanche
that's right.
site to another? So those things happen all the time with other
and
pieces of
front-end
equipment.
loaders.
Yep.
You have to transport that.
Backhoes and everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
that happens. Interesting, Bill Ross showed me this morning a picture of them up plowing over the weekend, and the snow drifts were over 3 feet above the plow. So when you think those plows are about 4 foot tall, they're tall.
Yeah,
Maybe 4.5, so.
You had some drafts up there.
Yeah.
I kid you when you're out there in Plain City, but you really do live in the banana belt of
Oh,
Weber
yeah,
County.
we got about that much snow over the weekend. How much did you get?
Yeah, well, we got about this much snow, but Gage will trump us both combined.
We got a little more than that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
We had a little more when the wind stopped. We saw the drift, so.
They told us that I had heard they had 60 inches in the last 5 days up top. So
That's great. Well, let's just
Chair-
hope it keeps going, yes.
Since we're talking about snow for a second, maybe Ricky knows this, maybe if he could find the answer. So I just wondered where we sat with our overall snow plowing budget. I'm assuming we have a budget dealing with equipment and sand, et cetera. Are we online with that budget so far this year?
I don't know as far as year-to-date. Sometimes those costs come in after the fact, but I'll check and.
Yeah, I think
report to
I
you.
think it's important for us to keep track of that. And unfortunately, when I dealt with the UDOT budget, they'd report to us on a weekly basis where they sat with because they'd always come in and ask for supplemental appropriation if it looked like they run out of money, or if it was a low snow year, they could take that money and use it somewhere else. So I would rather hear sooner than later with those numbers and know where we stand.
Sean Mike can tell us,
Sean,
Commissioner.
can they give us a little
You answer that,
report
Sean?
on
Yes,
Go
thank you,
ahead.
Commissioners. So we have a special highway supplies budget that goes for our snow removal as well as our road maintenance during the summer. And Joe Hadley manages that budget, and we just make sure that we look and forecast the weather and we buy sufficient supply that we can keep up with the work that we need to do. If we go a little bit over in the winter, then we won't have quite as much for the summer, and we just have to make that judgment call. But yes, we are very careful about how we spend that budget, and we're balancing that.
So you balance it basically by using your summer funds to backfill for your winter snow plowing if necessary.
We can
And I'm
do
assuming
that.
the opposite could happen as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, we make sure that budget is always in consideration, and we're very careful about how that is spent.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Very good.
Commissioner, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent items as read. Item number G on our agenda.
Very good. Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Call it unanimous. Very good. Next item up is a request for approval of a resolution of the Weber County Commission, of Commissioners of Weber County to appoint a member to the Central Weber Sewer Improvement Board. Commissioner Harvey.
Commissioner, on the Central Weber Sewer, Commissioners, on the Central Weber Sewer Improvement District, our Weber County Commission, by virtue of our office, has one member, or one of us can serve on that board. That helps keep a good balance, and in a prior meeting, the three of us met and we decided the best person based on what portfolio that we individually take care of, that Scott Jenkins would be best fitted for that Central Weber Sewer Improvement District Board. So it's my recommendation, and I'll make that in the form of a motion, that we approve Commissioner Scott K. Jenkins as the member of the Central Weber Sewer Improvement District Board.
I'd second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Resolution number 2. I don't know, resolution number 2. We have a roll call vote. Fatima?
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
and Chair Jenkins?
Aye. Very good, thank you. That resolution passes. Number 2, request for an interlocal agreement by and between Weber County and North Ogden City for the construction of a debris flow basin. Charlie, tell us about this.
Commissioners, thank you. North Ogden City wants to do a little bit of flood mitigation, debris flow mitigation. They've got a canyon up there, I suppose, called Flood Canyon, so they're telling us. It's on the north side of the North Ogden Divide, just on the east of the periphery of their city. They're doing a little bit of development on the east side of their city, and they want to make sure that there's not any flooding concerns in doing so. So what this would do is this would appoint North Ogden City as the land use authority and the building permitting authority for that project, which is halfway in the city, halfway in the unincorporated county. It would take us off the hook for having to take that into consideration.
And this is your recommendation?
Yeah, I recommend approval of it.
So this gives them a little more authority, and it takes us out of that.
Right. And as far as I understand it, in time, perhaps even over this next year, they're going to be annexing that portion of property in as they do the subdivision that they're planning in that area.
Right.
Excuse me,
Yes,
wouldn't this be reducing government?
So who do you want to answer that?
Just simple yes or no. In my mind, that's what it.
Maybe.
Might be. That's good.
You ready for a motion?
I am ready.
I would make the motion we approve the request for approval of the interlocal agreement by and between Weber County and North Ogden City for the construction of a debris flow basin, as talked about by Charlie Ewert.
Have a motion
And a second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed? None. Thanks, Charlie. That was unanimous. The next item, request for approval of resolution between the County Commission of Weber County appointing a member to the Weber County Creative Alliance Board. Jennifer?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We just had Scott Springer, who was the Dean of Arts and Humanities with Weber State, have to resign from his term on the board. And so we have gone to the board, and they have recommended Matthew Choburka, who is a department chair of visual arts at Weber State and also a professor, fill that position. And that will fill the vacancy left by Scott Springer. So we're just looking for approval of that resolution.
Very good. Any questions to this?
Gage?
I was at that meeting when I believe he was there and went through. He seemed like a very well-qualified individual, so
Yes.
I think that that's probably a very good move.
We'll make that motion.
Yeah, and I would, so if we're ready with no other questions, I would make the motion to approve the resolution to appoint the member as suggested by Jennifer to the Weber County Creative Alliance Board.
Second.
And seconded. So it's been moved and seconded that we appoint Matthew Choburka
Matthew Choburka.
to the Creative Alliance Board. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, it's a resolution.
Oh.
Gone. Resolution number 3. Very good. Fatima?
Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Commissioner Furr,
Aye.
and Chair Jenkins.
Aye.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you. That's been approved. Item 4 on our agenda, a request for approval of a first reading of fee ordinances related to the Weber County Development Department, Solid Waste Division. We actually went through this in one of our work meetings. Sean, would you like to explain that to us?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. So we are requesting an 11-cent increase in the per ton tipping fee out at the transfer station. This has to do with HB 115, which was passed in the 2017 general session at the state legislature, and it mandates a solid waste fee increase for every ton of solid waste that is transferred beginning this year, 2019. So in order to stay up to date and not have to eat that cost at the transfer station, we are increasing our tipping fee by 11 cents.
So the state of Utah is the receiver of that 11 cents, right?
That is correct.
And do we know what they're going to do with it?
I don't know what they'll do with it.
Do we know what they're going to do with that? Former Representative Flor?
I don't have a clue, former senator.
I attached a letter.
Excuse me, I was
from-
at the fairgrounds. We only took horse crap. We didn't take any of the other waste. So let's be.
I attached a letter from the DEQ that you're welcome to read. It doesn't say what they're going to do with it. It just explains that they're charging us. So
My guess, and this is simply a guess, is this would go into the DEQ budget for them to decide the best sources to use that revenue.
I suspect you're right.
And I like the fact that Weber County's not adding any other fees on top of it. It's just a pass along.
Yep.
Very good. Well, with that discussion taking place, I'm ready for a motion.
So move.
Okay,
Second.
been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's a unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. We appreciate that. Commissioner comments. This is really important. Commissioner, you got any comments today?
One of the things I can just tell you, in an effort to be even more transparent, was brought up in this meeting about all the different line items for expenditures that we have here at Weber County. As you pull up hashtag Weber County, you'll be able to locate those. Additionally, if you want to stream or look at this meeting anytime in the future, you can go to webercountylive.com, webercountylive.com, or you can visit it and see any of the history of any of our meetings on the Weber County Facebook page. They're all posted there. So we appreciate Bill Francis and his company coming and representing us and creating that Weber County Live website.
I do have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair. So I was able to attend the Hoff Festival this last Friday night with my family and a number of friends, and just wanted to give a personal thanks and a shout out to Marty and Jennifer. I thought it was a very well run event. When I first walked in and saw that line of people in the waiting for food in the food line, I thought, boy, this could turn into a disaster fast. But Marty and his group handled it extraordinarily well. The food was very good. I had some friends that actually know German food a little bit, and they were very impressed with the quality of the food, the quantity of the food, and also the drink, by the way. So, and I think that the other people that we talked to were just an enjoyable event by many. We can give kudos to the commissioner that's been involved with this for so many number of years. I think it's great for our community, and I appreciate the significance of what this really does and gives an event for the public to attend and come away with a good feeling about Weber County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. I have to agree. I attended that too with my family, and it was a lot of fun. The singing and the dancing, and it's very festive atmosphere. And you know, in the middle of the winter when it's cold outside, and you go in there and there's good food and everybody's having a good time, and they're singing and dancing on the stage, and it was very festive. It was a lot of fun to attend that. I was very surprised.
And I was amazed at the number of people that were in their German attire.
Yeah.
That
A lot of lederhosen.
a lot of
walking around
lederhosen,
there.
their jackets, their hats, yeah, and it brought back a lot of memories. My dad, who passed away a number of years ago, of course, we come from kind of German heritage, so he had a green German hat that was his pride and joy. He wore almost everywhere with all the little medals and that he put on the pins, and he's very, very proud of that. He passed that on to my kids now. So
There were a lot of those hats
a lot
walking
of those
around
hats,
there,
yeah.
weren't there?
So you can tell they're true Germans when they wear those hats.
That's true. That's good. Well, very good. Nothing else?
Oh, thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
I like it. I need one more motion.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting, go to a closed meeting to discuss pending or imminent litigation.
Very good. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
It's a roll call, Commissioner.
Oh, that is roll call. Thanks, Fatima.
Commissioner Harvey,
Aye?
Commissioner Farrer.
Aye.
And Chair Jenkins.
Aye. So we are now closing and going into a closed meeting. If you want to wait long enough, we'll come back out and close this, but it generally takes about a half hour. Thank you.